Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I'm really excited to be showing you the Darkness of Light Tarot, which is by Tony DiMauro, D-I-M-A-U-R-O. This is an independently produced deck. I will put a link to it in the description box below. I'll also put a link, the Bohemianess.com. She did a really thorough, great review of this deck, and so I will put a link to that as well because I thought she did an amazing job. I haven't read. I'm going to have to look and see what other decks she's done reviews on because she did a really good job, and it was quite thorough. So I'll put a link there because some of the information that I found about this were from her site. So check those out below. So I had seen this deck, but to be honest, Patrick, I think, had sent me a link. Is like, do we need this? And we looked at it, and I looked at it, and I was like, I don't think so. It's quite, it's very traditionally Rider-Waite-Smith. And at first I thought it had photo manipulation. Just at first glance, just seeing a couple of the cards. I don't know. I just wasn't. It didn't. It's gorgeous, but it's Rider-Waite-Smith, and it's probably photo manipulation. I'd seen a few cards, but I was like, without seeing the whole deck, I don't know about that. From what I understand, and I may be wrong about this, I looked to see what I could find. I don't actually think it's photo manipulation. I do think that there are, at least she also mentioned here, there is some blend of traditional physical art, painting, and sketching and drawing, as well as some digital drawing as well. Now, digital art's not the same thing as photo manipulation, and there is some degree of that. In person, I cannot tell where that might be and where it may not be. Whatever is digital and whatever is standard art, for me, is pretty much seamless. From what I've seen, obviously we'll go through this together one by one, but from what I've seen, it's pretty seamless and it's really stunning. In fact, as soon as I saw it in person, I was like, oh, I messaged Patrick. I'm like, I think I was really wrong about this one. So anyways, Jamie, who is wonderful, she is the one who came up with my name for the story in Lenormand, story in color Lenormand, and she sent this to me along with a bunch of other goodies, which hopefully I will be prepared for quite a few walkthroughs that I'm quite excited about. But she had received this deck and there were some problems, and I will say that the Bohemianess who mentioned this did mention that the cardstock isn't fantastic. It does have some chipping fairly quickly on, and she did note that after using it not for very long, it's definitely going to be one of those decks that are going to become worn looking. But she also mentioned that it's a deck that actually works well with because, as you'll see when we look into it, it's got that very dark vibe to it, and having it worn in, it lends itself to that look. So, but she did mention that, and she mentioned on hers that she received, there was some issues with the back of the card. And so did Jamie, and so they sent her another copy and told her to keep this copy, and so she so graciously sent it to me. This has, the edges have been blacked, and that did not come that way. She had already done that, and she also colored in the faces of the star, sun, and moon, but I will show you an image of what they look like uncolored in. So she's apparently like me, we're not fans of sun or faces and planets. So it came to me like this, and from what I understand, there is also a sort of deluxe edition that comes in a handmade box and things of that nature. Again, I'll put a link to where you can purchase this below. But it has a really gorgeous flap at the top, and then you've got, this is the backs of the cards. So very, very beautiful box, actually. It's a tuck box, but it's quite beautiful. I know that I saw somebody else's video where there was actually instructions on how to open this, which I think it was Raven Raven Song, who does the, I get names mixed up. I think I saw hers and I was like, she was with me. We both were. I mean, she wasn't with me, but she was giggling in the video, and I was kind of giggling, like, you know, I've never seen instructions on how to open a flap of a tuck box. But I think it's to keep that from ripping here, which does happen with tuck boxes. But I will say, this is quite a sturdy tuck box. I mean, it's of the nice thick cardstock. I'm sure I got them all. It holds its shape, which I like with a tuck box. So I actually think this is really quite a sturdy tuck box, and I'm certainly not, I don't have anything negative to say about it. It's a tuck box. So there's that. So here you can see the backs of the cards, which is these beautiful 2 wolf heads facing in either direction. Again, the edges are blacked. She did that. They will not come that way. I will say there's a few cards where it looks like she took the blacking up over, and I'm guessing that's where there was some problems like these in the backs of the cards, and I'm guessing this is where it had maybe torn up from the card before it, or in some way those were messed up. So there are a few cards like that, and I'm guessing that that's what the problem was, because that is also what Bohemianess on her walkthrough or her review said. So that is, I'm assuming, what the issue was there. These are just, you know, your basic throwaway cards, or your art cards, or whatever you want to call those. But I do quite like the backing. I think it's gorgeous. I would have blacked it instantly myself. So we are definitely together on that one. There's no box that comes with it, or a guidebook or little white book or anything that comes with it. But from what I understand, that is something that they are working on. And so so that should be coming. That's something that will be coming in the future. There is also a different ordering to the cards. In fact, I need to put these in the right order real quick. Okay, so he did reorder the structure of the minors, where he wanted to end up with the Queen, apparently, as the final authority. So instead of just swapping them, he changed the numbering so that when you receive this deck, it comes 2 through 10, and then it has ace. So aces are high, and more aligned with the court cards than the minors. And then he has the king first, then the knight, then the page, and then the queen. So it's interesting, within the court itself, we start with the king and then we end with the queen. So I think that's really interesting as well. He also set up the structure, and he also talked about, or she mentions about, the reason for this reordering was to do with balance and opposites in nature, as well as the idea of light and dark, which is the theme of the deck, and that there would be more information about this in the guidebook. And she also made note, I thought really important, was that everything that he does in this deck, while it seems like a small thing of reordering, is done very specifically, and he does it on purpose. And so he also reorders the order of which I often do, I just tend to do my favorites, but he reordered how they would come specifically, with blades for winter, and then coins for autumn, and then he does cups for summer, and wands for spring. Now I tend to do the opposite of that. I tend to do wands as summer and cups as spring, but I do coins as autumn and swords as winter. So, you know, everybody's going to have their different ways of addressing it. So that's some of the differences that you'll see, and why those are ordered the way they are is because that's the way they would have been ordered, and it was on purpose. So I do want to keep that there. So let me go ahead and scroll in now. Maybe just a hair back so you can see the whole card. Okay, so here we have the Fool card. The Major Arcana is in Italian, sort of as a nod to the historical decks, but the Minor Arcanas are in English. So I love the dog here, very realistic. There is a sense of realism to the deck. I don't believe that it's photo manipulation. If it is, it's amazingly done. And I'm pretty sure I've seen that it is not. Whether there's some digital use of art, which there's amazing ways to draw on pads. I do it myself, and it's fantastic, and I have no issue with that whatsoever. But whatever the combination of regular physical art and digital art, it's pretty seamless. I have yet to see one where, you know, it's like, oh yeah, clearly that's not really well done. It's amazingly done to kind of combine the two in a way, and however he's done so. So here we have the Fool. Of course, he's got his bag of belongings. He has his dog, handy dog. He's at the cliff. Again, very Rider-Waite-Smith. It's a definitely a beautiful rendition of the Rider-Waite-Smith. Here we have the Magician, who I think is gorgeous. I love that he's standing in running water with the rock, and the water having to, you know, kind of hit, but then flow around the rock. There's so much message, you know, of kind of going with the flow, but also that sort of breaking point and knowing when to go around things. It's just beautiful metaphor there. But then we do have the traditional, where he has the sword here and the wand and the cup and the coin. So again, very traditional, but with nuances that I think are really stunning. Here we have the gorgeous High Priestess. We've got this, because there's so much darkness here, we have this, almost seems like it glows, this crescent moon at her feet. We have the elemental equal-sided cross here. We have the book instead of the Torah. We have the book in her lap. I absolutely love, she has sort of that calling down the moon position, which I think is gorgeous, with that moonlight streaming in. And we still have, no, it's not. I was going to say, I thought we had the initials that were used in the metal of the door, but they're not. Those are metal. But the door behind it, I think, is stunning, that opening the door into the mysteries. So absolutely gorgeous High Priestess card. Then we have the Empress, which looks very much like a Waterhouse painting, and I think I read that was inspired by a Waterhouse painting, especially in the bottom part of her dress and things. You can really see that. I love the inclusion of the birds, the creativity with the music, right? Instead of where we generally will see a pregnancy there, we're seeing that same sense of creation and creativity, but with a musical instrument, which is really stunning. I think this is just an absolute. I took a picture to send to Patrick. When you zoom in, like, her face is just gorgeous. Here we have the Emperor, which I quite love. Looks very traditional, very historical. I love the details in the mountains in the background. I love the armor on his legs. Is very realistic feel to it. It's just stunning. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, love it. Here we have the Hierophant. We do have sort of a supplicant, but it's not the traditional supplicant, you know, at the knees. I do like that there's sort of a break in the ceiling where we can see the moon. I think that's interesting. While we do have a bishop hat, I kind of wish that wasn't there, because other than that, it could go very shamanistic-y, and it could also, there's different ways you could read that. This definitely looks a little bit more as traditional kind of bishop or pope style hat, but other than that, there's a very shamanic feel to it, and I love the broken roof here. So it's still, I think it's quite a powerful image. I love that the Lovers card is picking her up, because it's as close as you can get. I mean, they're not even standing on, together. I just think it's beautiful. You don't see that a lot. Very, again, traditional. You've got the angel. I love the light, the sense of light at the face. It's blinding, which you hear about with angels and that type of thing. So again, for a very traditional Lovers card, I just think it's beautifully done, and I just really like how he's picking her up. This is, so far of what I've seen, my absolute favorite card in the deck. This is my Birth card. I love the moons here. I love that she's riding on the horse with such confidence that she is going to shoot her bow at the same time. She doesn't need to hold on to the reins. I love the burst of light at the arrow tip. I love everything about this card. It is probably my favorite Chariot card. I absolutely love it. Here we have strength or force at 8. So that's, again, more of a Rider-Waite-Smith designation. But I really love the way her hand is resting. I love that her hand is just in the mouth saying, see, I can have my hand in the mouth. I don't know. It almost looked like there was something around his paws, but I think that's just light. But I think it's beautiful. She's not prying his mouth open. She's just so confident that she can put her hands in the mouth. Has the figure 8 or the lemon scott there, as we see also on the Magician. Again, quite traditional. But she looks like they're in the plains in Africa or somewhere. She looks like she has tribal tattoos here. She doesn't have clothes on here. Really in connection. We've got kind of in the grasslands. I just think it's gorgeous. Love it. Beautiful hermit. Beautiful hermit. We've got the back of the hermit. He's already gone way up, and he's kind of looking back and seeing where he's come from, seeing the lights of the city. I just think it's beautiful. Absolutely love it. I love that the Wheel of Fortune is a spinner, a blind spinner with a spinning wheel. So we just have that idea perhaps of fate and even of justice meeting out our destiny in a blind fashion, which I think Lady Fortuna is shown as spinning the wheel at times. So I love that, as well as I just love spinning wheels. I've seen other decks with spinning wheels in the Wheel of Fortune, but I just think it's gorgeous. Here we have the stunning Justice card at 11. She's blind. She's all dressed in white. We've got this flames here. She seems like a priestess. I love the light glistening on the sword. This is definitely like Bohemian Gothic. My adoring Bohemian Gothic is very similar, in which pay attention to where the light is and where the light is not. That's really gives some beautiful subtleties, and I can certainly see that being the case in this deck, which is as it should be with its, darkness of light. That's the title. So I think that was not just a creative name, but it actually reflects the energy of the cards. So I know I'm wiggling the table, but I'm like really bent in because I'm so entranced with looking at these. Here we have the Hanged Man. Very powerful, very strong man. He's tied up on his feet. He could be Odin, although we don't see any water below where he would be hanging over the water generally in the well. We do see water in the background, though. A lot of beautiful use of water as well. But very strong hangman. Love it. Death is gorgeous. I mean, look at that. That is a gorgeous death. There's somebody dead on the ground. Kind of have a castle. He's in armor. He's got the traditional flag. It's really beautiful. Very traditional with the sickle here. Just really gorgeous. The Temperance card, and there is another card I noticed. It's in the minors. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure we'll see it. That has this sort of smudged face. And I actually really like it. I'm not sure how I would see that, what would I read into that, but I think it's really gorgeous, and there's something viscerally powerful about it. If we think of, and it's interesting also because temperance is not moving, right? Normally we see temperance mixing something, but we have more, it seems like we have fire, but we also have growth here. So it's almost like, is it raining maybe? And we've got the fire and the rain in the, in the atmosphere. I'm not sure, but I just know that I like this. Like, it speaks to me at a kind of gut level, and I want to see what other ones, see if we see any other faces. I'm going to set that aside. So I do think it's powerful though. Here we have a very traditional devil, quite large horns. We have the people with their chains around their neck, but as you can see, much similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith, we have very loose chains. It's very simple for them to pick those chains up and drop them off. So we, again, very powerful looking devil here, but in many ways it's a traditional devil card. You can also see where there's a make use of a lot of these sort of smudges of blues in various places in all the cards. That seems to hold throughout at least the major arcana so far. Just, it's just beautifully done. Gorgeous tower card. That tower has been walloped. I love water at the base of towers. Again, so we've got smoke from the flames here. What's going to burn away, what's going to be left there. It's just really powerful. Very darkly reminiscent of the Llewellyn Tower. No people that I can see like falling off, but I don't think you need that. It's very visually clear that this is a random act of happenstance, right? So now I want to show you, so she, again, this was her personal deck, and then she had it replaced. So she took the star and the moon, which would be next, right, and the sun, and make sure you can see all three of those, and colored them in with looks like maybe metallic marker. But I wanted to just show you what they look like without that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it in my camera here. So you can see that there is a face here in the sun, a face here in the moon, and a face here, moon and the sun. You can see the faces there. Apparently, from what I read, I think he actually made sort of clay faces to make these. Yeah, especially that one. I mean, just look at how beautiful that is. And then to have, I'm not a fan, you know me. The moon's not too bad. The sun and the star and the sun, yeah. But that's just personal preference. I'm not a fan of those kinds of things. Clearly, she's not a fan either. And so she has colored those in. But other than that, you can obviously still see, and you can Google darkness of light tarot and look at the sun, moon, and card stars if you want to see them up close. This part is absolutely stunning. Standing on one foot is really interesting. That is beautiful. Sometimes you see it in different ways. I love the water and the way that the light makes that light water just be splashing. So really, other than those faces, quite beautiful cards. Here we have and it looks like there was probably some problems here of stuff being peeled off as well. But here we have the two-headed Cerberus. Let me see, I'm not sure if I'm saying that Cerberus, or, yeah, I don't know if it's a hard C or a soft C. I'm guessing that's who this reflects, so that's gorgeous. And in the sun, we just have a dog, which is quite lovely, minus the face in the face in the sun. And then we have the Judgment card, which is very powerful. I talk about the Tarot Muha, which has, to me, the worst judgment angel ever. This is pretty awesome. That's a pretty mighty looking angel calling forth from judgment. I love even the supplication, even though that's not how I tend to read the Judgment card, but the way that they're bent forward with their hands up in supplication is actually really powerful. So I think a really strong traditional Judgment card, and probably one of my favorite world cards. I think this is our Universe, which I prefer as well. That is a stunning. You can see that you've got, looks like the sun here. I'm not sure what these are, like maybe a, you know, a full moon, a new moon, a sun. I'm not sure what these would be, but I think it's gorgeous. I love the little figure eternity symbol here on her fingertips. I just think it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So that is the majors. Okay, so now here we are with Masu, which is the swords. And of course, we're starting with a 2 just because this is how apparently this deck will come to you. So I wanted to kind of put it in the right order. I also wanted to note with the majors, you pretty much have grayscale except for these kind of blue splotches that you see, swipes and stuff. Otherwise, it is primarily a black and white, or grayscale, not black and white, but I mean, I'm sure there is actually some hint of green here. But primarily what you see is black and white with a slight bits of blue swipes. So you see that. Now in the suits, you can see there is quite a blue tone, which is winter, to the blades, which are swords. To the coins, you can see a yellow tone, almost like a yellow filter. Still primarily grayscale, but more of a yellow tone, because for the coins we have autumn. And then for the cups, which are summer, we have a more probably red, kind of red tones in here. You have probably the most color, to be honest, in a variation of color in the cups. And then in the wands, which are in this spring, we actually have quite a pink. There's greens and pinks, but primarily you see a lot of pinks in the cups. So you kind of have these color washes in the wands, or in the minors, that you don't see in the majors. So that's a beautiful sort of separation there. But all of the colors are muted. Here we have the absolutely gorgeous 2 of blades, which I think is just stunning. Again, water in the background. The backgrounds are really beautiful. I think it's one of those that you really do want to pay attention to the backgrounds. Again, because of the shadow, the brights are brighter. Because of the light, the shadows are darker, and it really shows this deck, that interplay between light and shadow, in a really gorgeous way. Here we have the 3 of blades, which I think is actually quite stunning. It is definitely still Rider-Waite-Smith traditional. We have winter, we have a nude woman who is clearly upset here. So we don't have the heart with the sword stabbed in it, but we have certainly the same energy, which is beautiful. A beautiful representation of that interpretation of the 3 of blades. And so I knew that that would be the case because, again, this is quite Rider-Waite-Smith, but I do think this is a stunning 3 of swords. The 4 of swords is interesting because we do have a tomb here. Now, we often will see in Rider-Waite-Smith references a tomb, but it usually has a knight who is laid out, where you still have that indication of this is just a rest and then it's time to get up and go back into battle. Where with a tomb, you don't have so much of an idea that they're going to get back up. We do see the 3 of swords with the 1 sword laid down, which is something to remember. If you're just kind of looking at it, you would think 3 swords, but the 4th sword is laying down. That is a Rider-Waite-Smith positioning of the swords. But again, you know, it's a little bit when the next getting up, it's like you're taking a rest and you're going to start again. It's going to really imply more of a reincarnation or a kind of whatever comes next, that next life. We're just sitting down for a while. But that does quite change that energy. But I do think it's gorgeous. Here we have the 5 of blades, which is a little more typical, right? We have fighting here that's going on. Although a lot of times with the Five of Swords, there's already a battle been won, but you're asked what the cost. And so we actually still see battling, more like we would see in, I think, the Five of Wands. But we do have a disruption of energy by this fighting that's going on. I think this is a stunning Six of Blades or Six of Swords. I love Rider-Waite-Smith's Six of Swords. I love the boats. I love the moving away energy. This, I think, is just stunning. She's going on her own 2 feet. It's enough. She's going to walk into the water or walk on the water. I don't know. There's a lot of strength here, a lot of determination to move to a better space. I think it's stunning, and I adore Six of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. Here we have the Seven of Blades. I quite like this. It's traditional. You've got somebody, you know, hightailing it out with 7 swords on his back. But there's still, I feel like this still speaks to where I see the Seven of Swords, and that we have this going on, but we don't know what's happening, right? We don't know the whole story. There's something going on underneath, and we've got to kind of dig a little deeper and figure out what's going on beneath the surface. And this still works for me. Again, I love the snow energy here. We definitely are in winter. It's very clear. Look at the beautiful, very traditional Eight of Blades. All she has to do is step backwards, right? I like that we're kind of seeing her from the back. It's, again, very traditional, but extremely beautiful. She has a way out. She just has to use her, you know, other senses. But it's really gorgeous. Here we have the Nine of Blades, which I think is beautiful. Again, traditional Nine of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith, kind of known as the Nightmare card. It's where the mind is blowing things up and out of proportion, so that troubles become nightmares, and in the same token, dreams become illusions, where they are not in any way based in reality. And both of those things have to be brought down into proportion so that we can deal with the difficulties or deal with our ways forward. But it's that, you know, 3 + 3 + 3, lots of energy, and it's causing things to get blown out of proportion. But it is very traditional, but I think it's gorgeous. I love it. You know, here was the ubiquitous Ten of Swords, very traditional. The 10 swords in the back, the end of something that needs to end, because it's time to kind of move into the next phase. I'm not a Rider-Waite-Smith 10 of Swords fan. As a culmination of the suit of the mind, I don't particularly see this, but it is a beautiful rendition of the traditional 10 of Swords. And then we have a stunning ace. I love the background. It is a landscape, but it's a wash as well. It's a very gorgeous. The backgrounds in this deck, I think, are absolutely stunning. I love this ace. I'm going to keep this out so we can see the other aces. Here we have the King of Swords or Blades, looking very king-like. I quite like him. The Knight, he looks like a Knight of Swords is going to ride off to save the damsel in distress. I love him. Full armor here. Although I tend to see this style of armor, for me personally, in the Cups, because we have that idea of sort of more of the Knight of the Round Table feel, but this is gorgeous. Here we have the Page. He's just picking up his sword. He's got something to learn. We have a little bit of a smudged face here too. But he's not quite learned what it is that he needs to learn, but he's getting ready to set out. He doesn't have his horse, he doesn't have his armor, but he's kind of setting out on this phase. And then the beautiful Queen of Swords or Blades. I think it's gorgeous. Really gorgeous. Now, from what I understand, in the Knights, there are 2 knights, 2 male knights and 2 female knights. I don't know if that's the same with the Pages. I'm going to kind of keep those out just to see. But she's beautiful. Here we move into the coins, which is autumn in this particular deck, or fall. I think she's gorgeous. I love the lighthouse in the background. This is a heavyweight, right? These are chained. So she's got to, you know, really keep these things in balance or they are going to drop and really pull down the whole thing, right? It's not so much about juggling. It's a little bit earthier and weighted, a more weighted feel. But again, the backgrounds in this deck are stunning. This is probably the only one that I don't really see. So the Three of Coins tends to do with kind of learning the trade. But I don't know what these three guys are. Like, are they... They don't look like they're up to any good. We do have one with an anvil and one with sort of maybe some plans. So maybe they're architects or something. I'll be interested if the guidebook comes out, what he says about this. But, yeah, it's one that's kind of, other than the tools of the trade, it's kind of hard to see this because they look like they're maybe a couple of, a group of thieves or something. Here we have the Four of Coins. Again, traditional, we've got the 4 underneath. I do like at least that he doesn't have it sitting on his head and grasping his hands, because I read the 4 of Coins as more, this is a time to hold on to your wealth. This is not a time to push it out there. Your resources are not, it's not time to have that going outward. It's time to hold on to them. And he does look contemplative, like he's thinking things through, and he's being careful about his resources. I can personally read it that way, versus the greediness that I think the Rider-Waite-Smith leans more towards. But so I can definitely work with that. I quite love this 5 of Coins. We have the dog and he's out in the wet and the cold, and but we have this cracked door open where he can go inside. I do think this is really beautiful. I don't know what's going on over here. Because it looks like a tree, but at the same time, it almost looks like a shadowy figure with a cloak. I don't know what's happening there. And I feel like everything in this deck has purpose, so I would be really interested to know what that is. And probably take a picture of it so I can zoom in it closer. But I love 5 of Coins in the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, and this is really beautiful. Here we have the 6 of Coins, that idea of helping others. We have somebody who is plainly in need, and her having the resources to be able to give it. A little bit of the pleading and the holding it over the head. I'm not entirely sure about the posing. It doesn't feel so much helpful as, look what I have, tell me how much you really, really want it. But I do think it's a beautiful image, and it works certainly with the connotation of the 6 of Coins there. I just just a little bit, let's be a little more gracious in our giving. 7 of Coins, that idea of patience, waiting for things to grow, having done the work and now just waiting for that to come to full fruition, I think is really well done. 8 of Coins, we have him working. Patrick asked if he was naked, but I zoomed in on a picture and I don't think he is, although I have to say from away from the card, he does look like he's pounding metal naked, which may not be very wise. But again, you have that work idea of hard work. He's mastered it. He's made multiple versions of it. Very traditional 8 of Coins. Love this 9 of Coins. I'm a huge fan of the Rider-Waite-Smith 9 of Coins card. I love them in a deck. I often look there. Look at her beautiful green, I see it as a green dress, her beautiful red hair, the beautiful bird of prey. Like, I just think it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorites. I love the Druid craft. I think the Druid craft is one of my favorite 9 of Coins, but this one may have that beat. I also love this 10 of Coins. Hearth and home, all is well. The dog is resting on the, by the hearth, just no longer out in the cold by itself. In the 5 of Pentacles, so I quite like that. I think it's lovely. And I guess, now we're to the court. So then we have the ace, which I'm going to keep out so I can just look at the aces. We have the King of Coins. He's definitely very contemplative. I like the pumpkins being there. I'm not sure that I like his posture. It doesn't feel very kingly to be hunched over. But he's watching his fields grow. Here we have looks to be a female. I would guess that this is a female knight. I'm going to leave it out so that we can see. But from what I understand, there's 2 of each, which I do really like. Knight of Coins. A female. Also here, yep, we have a female page. So it looks like the genders are balanced, which I quite love. I do like either the pages to be all girls and the knights to be all boys or males, or this mixing. I do love to have the courts be very balanced, is nice. But she's really awesome looking as well. I love her bare feet. Here we have the Queen of Coins, which I think is beautiful. This is Mother Earth with the rabbits and the goats. I love the big moon behind her. I just think it's beautiful. It's really well done. That brings us to the cups, which again in this suit are summer. And I see the cups as spring, but I think that wouldn't, nothing about this doesn't say spring, so I could still certainly read this as spring if I chose to. So here we have a beautiful traditional 2 of Cups, 2 people come together and kissing. I'm not sure, we have the 3 of Cups, which is traditionally 3 ladies together, but they are not in need of summertime, I guess, and there's no need for clothes. So definitely a wild abandonment to this 3 of Cups. It's a little bit interesting because we really don't see a lot of nudity. The Queen of Swords, we have her breasts bared. I know there is something about the tradition of bared breasts in women in tarot, that there is a purpose to that, or there is a historical reference to that, because you'll see it a lot in old like Marseille style decks. But other than this, we're not really, I think, no, we have others, but they don't feel really gratuitous. Like that's gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. I don't feel like any of the nudity is gratuitous at all. This is a little bit like, okay, really, could they not have had clothes on in their merriment? But it's beautiful. It's summertime. It's warm. You know, celebrate the body. Here we have the 4 of Cups. You know, it's traditional Rider-Waite. I wish she didn't look so bored. I don't see the 4 of Cups as boredom. For me, it's in a stable emotional place, which I can certainly go there with. But yeah, it's kind of the traditional boredom cup. Here's the beautiful 5 of Cups. We definitely see some sorrow here. We definitely have the filled cups and the empty cups. I do like that the cups seem to be full of like strawberries or something. So you definitely get that idea that these cups are full and these are empty. I do like that added on. And we definitely can see the loss here, which I think is quite appropriate in the 5 of Cups. That's the only reason I have an issue with the 3 of Swords, is that we have heartbreak here in the 5 of Cups. In the 5 is about a disruption, and so we have disruption of emotions, and it really works in that place. So I feel like when we read the 3 of Swords just as you know, heartbreak and loss, we're kind of repeating those energies, whereas I see the number 3 as growth, and so we have growth of the mind, which can come from heartbreak, but it can also come from other learning experiences. So, but I do think this is very poignant. I love the 6 of Cups. This, of course, for me is really got you know, this feels like, you know, looks like this could be my son. I definitely have a lot of dreams at this age of me with my arms open and him running into my arms. So this one hits me below the belt a little bit, especially for a nostalgia card and seeing things through fresh eyes before you've kind of lost that sense of innocence and that sense of wonder in life. So this definitely hits me below the belt, but I actually think it's stunning, and the use of light is gorgeous. I mean, it really is in person, absolutely gorgeous use of light in these cards. 7 of Cups are very traditional, except they're all filled with either strawberries or flowers. It looks like maybe those are flowers, but they're filled here. But that's very, very traditional sense of, okay, where are the daydreams, right? Where are the illusions, and where is the real dreams? It's good to go after your dreams. Just make sure they're dreams that you're going for, and not illusions or things that are just impossible kind of daydreams up floating in the sky that are just going to dissipate. Follow your dreams, not your kind of illusions. So I think it's really beautifully done. I love this Eight of Cups. Now, I am a fan of the Eight of Cups card in the Rider-Waite-Smith, that going off on it's time for a new start. And I'm a huge fan of the cups being upright, not spilled, which I only have a couple decks that do that, and it just breaks my heart because I really love this card. Because there's that sense of, okay, this phase, this is done. It's not necessarily bad, it's not necessarily good, but it's just time to go off on this new journey. And I love this Path of Trees. It's just stunning. And this is a real important card for me for some major points in my life where it's just like, okay, that I'm not gonna look back with regret, and I'm not gonna say things were horrible, but I am gonna say it's time to move on. And it being a very powerful decision, not a decision where I'm running away so much, but a solid decision. It's just time to move forward, and this reflects that really well. Love this Nine of Cups. Love this. He has reached maturity. He can kind of sit back and relax. He's done the work. His cups are full. I do think this is really, beautiful. Because, this is the wish card. His wishes have been fulfilled. Love it. And this is beautiful. Yes, it's, that traditional family. We've got the mom and the dad and the child in between. The sun is coming up. But I just think it's beautiful. And again, the use of light is stunning. It's really gorgeous. I can't emphasize that enough. This is beautiful. So far of my aces, I love, again, the play of light here in the cups. But again, this is the bright sunlight of summertime in this deck, right? But again, as you've noticed, I don't think there's anything in this that wouldn't let me use it for spring, because you've got the flowers of spring as well. So that's good for me. But I think this is really beautiful. Ace. Look at this King of Cups. He is a fisherman, it looks to be. Sitting on a chest in his fisher. He's kind of bent over too, so maybe the kings are contemplative. That might be what it is. But I quite like him. Knight of Cups. He does look, or she, I think this is a she. She does, yeah, I think she's got, yeah, I think this is a she. We'll see with the last one. But she does feel like a Knight of the Round Table that is going off to find the Holy Grail. I do, or she's just found the Holy Grail, right? So quite lovely. And here we have a female page. So far the coins and the cups, which are receptive energy, are the females. So I'm assuming the last one will be a male. I love this Queen of Cups. Again, she seems to be drawing down the moon, or just reveling in the water and the wind and the smells of the ocean and the fertility. She just, I think it's beautiful. Really embracing her, the pregnancy and the crashing way. I don't know. I just really like this. I like this a lot. I like it a lot. That brings us to the Wands. Again, quite a traditional Two of Wands. We can see the pink tones that we're going to see throughout this. We've got the, just blossoming, just some light leaves and, feeling of in the Wands. So we certainly can see that spring if you're going to run with this as spring. But again, I don't think this would stop me from reading it as summer. I love that the 3 has on its back. So here we're kind of making our plans, and this is plans being put into action. He's already done some things. We still see the water that we traditionally see, and he's looking off to waiting for things, but he's done some work. We've gone from, these just kind of thinking to actually doing, and I quite like that. Here we have the Four of Wands. I think this is really beautiful. It's so simple. It's a window that's been decorated with flowers, the fruit here. There's coming in for a celebration, or preparing for that celebration. But I think it's really simple and beautiful. Love this. I would love for, really of all the pips to have been been pippish like this, because I do think it's gorgeous. We do have sort of a pentacle being made, which is interesting with the 5 of Wands. I see that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to be that. But we also can just see a mishmash of twigs and things. It's not organized energy here. I love the pink flowers. Six of Wands, quite traditional. Somebody's coming through. I do like that, you know, they just have these wands of, you know, of live tree branches with the leaves versus, you know, laurel crowns and things. But we have that, you know, traditional Six of Wands. I quite like it. We have the Seven of Wands, which is interesting because normally we see the fighting like we saw with the Five. But he almost, you know, he's on his own, and he's, perhaps there's somebody below, because he does seem like he's in a defensive posture, right? Because if he's, hopefully he's not defending against these, because he's got his back turned. But I think he's just holding ground here. Here we have the Eight, and this is an interesting one. You know, we're normally seeing that movement. We do see the arm pull back, although there's no string to the bow and there's no actual, he's not pulling anything back. I would prefer there to actually be a string to the bow and him pulling the bow back. So to me, that's kind of interesting because I don't really see movement. And even the body compared to the rest of the deck has a almost statue-like quality. So I just don't get a sense of movement with this one, but you know, we can't love every single one. So far, I've just seen two that I'm not overly fond of, so I'm not going to complain there. I do love the Nine of Wands, quite traditional. Got the wrapping on his head. He has held. He is weary, but he, you know, just one more. Oh, you're almost there. Just hold the line, right? Hold the line. Ten of Wands, that idea of burdened but not breaking, it is really beautiful, and I think that works really well. And that brings us to the Ace, which is also quite beautiful. So that gives us our brighter cups and wands, and a little more muted. So here, this would be winter, fall, spring, and summer. But again, I feel like you're okay if you change these. You'll be fine. This is pretty winter. It'd be hard to read this as any other season. Here we have the King of Wands here, looking very kingly and upright. Looks like we have a scorpion down here. That looks like a scorpion. That's interesting. Here we have the Knight of Wands. So here we have our knights, and we definitely have sort of our two male knights here in the blades and the wands, which would be the active energy, masculine, traditionally energetically masculine and energetically feminine and or receptive energy with female knights. So I do like that. And same thing with our pages. We have the two receptive energy and active energy, males and females. So we have that balance. Then of course we have the King energy and the Queen energy. So she's beautiful. Look at that Queen of Wands with the cat, which you often see. I think she's gorgeous. That's really beautiful. And that is the last of them. So really, other than the Three of Coins, like this one I'm not real fond of. And it's not that I'm, you know, this one just doesn't feel, well, where is it? It would be the Eights. No. Oh, here. These two are my least favorite. I mean, I can still get that, and I can get that, but it's like, I'm not sure. In a deck that I just really think they're all quite stunning. These are my least favorite of them, so that's pretty good out of 78 cards. And I don't hate them, I just don't love them. I absolutely love the Nine of Coins. I absolutely love my birth card. There's something about this, I have to set with it more, but it's not a traditional temperance, and yet there is something that really is poignant and speaks to me about this. I'm going to have to set with, but I quite love those. I just think it's a deck that, while very much traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, if you love that system, if that's primarily how you read, this will not be hard for you to read. But there's still other things going on. There's subtleties that are quite intriguing. The use, it's because it's darkness of light, not darkness in light or any other things. So we have that real interplay, right, between shadow and light. And I think that it would be much like the Bohemian Gothic, you would be missing a lot to not really pay attention to the light and the shadow, because the shadows are richer because of the light, and the light's brighter because of the shadow, and you can really see that in this deck. So I definitely have to reassess my initial thought on this deck. I definitely do not feel as if this is I'll be surprised if I find out that this is photo manipulation. I really don't think that's the case. I think it's just a blend of digital and traditional art, and it's seamless. I wouldn't also be surprised if they said, nope, it's all painting, because it's that well done. So kudos to the artist. So let's give this a shuffle. It feels like, you know, I'd say maybe Game Crafter or Make Your Playing Cards. I know that working with all black, like black backing and the black front, it does cause issues. It has to do with the ink, because, you know, on my deck I was going to go with a black backing, and the printer really did not recommend it. And so I know that that can be problematic, and I think that's often why you see this is not gloss. It's a, you know, kind of a sheen to it, but it's not glossy at all. I think that's why when you have dark black borders, such as like the Mary Ellen things, they tend to then also be high sheen. Same thing with Dreams of Gaia, because I think that it can be quite problematic. And as a independent publisher, of course, it makes it even more difficult, and that's probably why there's been some issues with the pigment loss or peeling up, perhaps, as it dries. But you know, that's just kind of, it's hard. You know, if you're not in a mass-produced situation, you've got to do what you want, and you want to realize this deck really couldn't, in my opinion, be anything but dark like this. So, yeah, so I agree with the assessment of the review that I put in the link below. I think it's not bad cardstock at all. It's just not, you know, it's nothing fantastic. It's just kind of what you would think of as sort of standard cardstock, I guess. But I also agree with her assessment that if this is a deck that does wear, it will only be enhanced because of the look of it. And also, if you do blacken your edges, that is going to help with some of that chipping along the edges, because you can always re-blacken it down the road, which I have done on decks, and it kind of breathes new light into them. So I think that this is one that, even if it gets well worn, and it's just going to increase the gorgeousness of it. So that's kind of a lucky aspect. I do feel like, you know, all through looking at this and kind of talking to Patrick about this deck, I feel like this is like the shadow counterpart to the Fountain Tarot. It does definitely have that sort of, that energy where they're similar in size, just slightly larger. And of course, this has really stunning cardstock, but I feel like, you know, you could definitely do like light and shadow readings with this deck. That would be really beautiful. But I can definitely see using these two decks together in some way, because there's so much. They both play with light, because this deck also plays with light, but it's a light that really glows from within. But you know, such a stunning use of light and color. And then this is sort of the opposite. It's such a stunning use of still light, but a lot of shadow and muted colors, but using those to its best effect, that I feel like they are really lovely counterparts in some beautiful way. So I will definitely be using these, doing some kind of light and shadow readings with these, you know, because you could literally pull, you know, 3 cards to the light. I mean, just look at the light that you have there, which is just glows, right? and then pull, and these are not shuffled well enough, but, and then pull 3 cards to the shadow side, and then read that. Like, that is something I will 100% be doing. Bam, done. I will be doing that. But that's just things that come to mind, and playing to be done, which I quite love the idea of. Let's give this another, oops, a couple real good shuffles here. Again, reading in terms of reading this, if you're comfortable with the Rider-Waite-Smith, this is, you know, going to have different slight nuances and things of that nature to explore. But in general, I think if you're comfortable with traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, you're not going to have any issue reading with this deck. Oh, Queen of Cups is so beautiful. Just do the Magician above, the Sun below, confidence shining everything. All right, so here's what it would look like with a 5 card. You could then expand it to how I do my large tarot readings. Of course, there's my beautiful Chariot card. It's really gorgeous. This is definitely one that I could easily see using for clients. It's gorgeous. It speaks to me of moons, and of course there's sun as well. There is light here. It's not just dark, it's darkness of light. So there is dark and light, but it does kind of have you that, give you that kind of moon feel, right? You definitely feel like, you know, this is where the Fountain Tarot is sun energy. This is moon energy. Even in the sunlight, you feel like you're in the moonlight. So, love that as well. So yeah, this is really beautiful. I would not probably have ever gotten this. I'm so sorry, obviously, that Jamie had a bad first experience, but they were apparently very good at taking care of the situation, so he seems to be great at working with that, which is wonderful. But it was for my benefit in terms of being able to really check out a deck that I probably would not have otherwise checked out. Not because it's not beautiful, but for those 2 things. I thought it was a photo manipulation deck, and then the other thing was it was so, and it's so Rider-Waite-Smith that I was just like, you know, it's beautiful, but do I need that? Whereas I'm really glad, I'm really thrilled to have this. I think it's going to be a gorgeous addition. And I think I will actually be reading with this, no problem, or no question. So there you have it. This has been a look at the beautiful Darkness of Light Tarot, again by Tony DeMauro. A link is in the description box, as well as a link to a really great, what I think is a very thorough look at this deck that I had read that I think was very well done. That will be in the description box below as well. So hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.